Welcome back in, Detroit Lions fans. It is Friday, getting you guys ready for the weekend, getting you guys ready for game day. I mean, unfortunately, I have to work this weekend, but I will get to watch the game. Luckily, my boss knows if I'm working on a weekend. I mean, luckily, I have all the Sundays off, and I can check out Lions games from home or at Ford Field. But when the Lions are playing preseason games, my boss knows, hey, man, I'm probably going to be watching the game. I'm not going to be any good to you today. Hopefully, you guys have a cool boss like that. Sit back, enjoy the show. Friday, I'm going to try to get you guys ready for the weekend. Please hit that subscribe button. Another preseason game. These are my favorite episodes to do. I love talking actual game stuff. I love doing draft recaps and mock drafts and all that stuff, but these are my favorite. This is really what I want to hone my craft in and be good at. So hopefully you guys appreciate it, man. Hopefully I'm entertaining enough for you. I will do my best. I usually started off talking about injuries on game day shows, but with how the Lions have been banged up so far this training camp, and we're just kind of limp into the finish line of practices. We had a scare this week with Penei Sewell. Gibbs, we had a little scare with. Ali McNeil's banged up. DJ Reader, Brad Holmes, or Dan Campbell said in a press conference earlier this week that after this Steelers game, he expects to get those guys going and that they're all trending in the right direction. He used that phrase quite a bit, trending in the right direction. So I was mostly excited to hear him mention DJ Reader's name, saying he was going to get him going. I believe he said Sunday. So that'll be in just a couple days. We're going to start seeing DJ Reader. Maybe, I don't know exactly what that will entail with getting him going, but it's at least a step in the right direction. It's gradual progress, and that's all I can ask for. We are, by the time kickoff tomorrow, we're about a little more than 2 weeks away from the season, guys. I'm excited. Can't wait. It's finally here. Another question is, will the starters play? I hope not. Like I said, we have been limping to that finish line of training camp and practice. We've avoided disaster. We've avoided some crippling news. I don't want to say anything is like a season ender. I was hearing that term the whole day the other afternoon when the Penei Sewell foot injury came out, and I was, guys, it's okay. That's why Brad Holmes drafts for depth. We're okay regardless of what happens. There's not ideal scenarios, but we're going to be okay. So the question of will starters play, I sure hope not. I don't need to see Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Goff, Hutchinson, Brand. I don't need to see those guys. This is a meaningless game for the Detroit Lions. This is a opportunity for guys who are on the bubble to solidify either their depth chart position or just making the team. That's what's more important about these preseason games, is getting reps. I said earlier in the week that regardless of what the outcome of that Kansas City Chiefs game last week, I didn't care. If Jake Bates missed that field goal, I didn't care. There was still plenty of stuff to look forward to and plenty of stuff that was exciting and good news. I'm kind of just going into this game with that same mindset. It's a meaningless game on the score. I want to just see good play. I want to see good competition. And I'm going to get started with the quarterback and the man that everyone's most excited about, Hendon Hooker. I listened to Dan Campbell's press conference about Hendon Hooker and kind of hinting that maybe he was going to get the start this week. Not sure if he was going to play, a couple series, a quarter, a half. He didn't know what that was going to look like, but I said in our recap video last week that I think the role should be reversed. I think Hendon Hooker should play the first half, and then you can start Nate Sudfeld or Jake Fromm in the second half. I don't really care, but I'm excited to see Hendon Hooker get a start, I guess, and to get some work with the number twos. Get some more work with Isaiah Williams, more work with Vaki. I know he got it in the second half last week, but just kind of starting that game, it's a different mentality. Instead of sitting around thinking, okay, late second quarter, I'm going to start getting ready. I just want to see that mindset just kind of shift to, I'm starting a football game now. And I know it's meaningless, but when we take the offense out onto the field, I'm the one who's going out first. I just want to see some more exciting Hendon Hooker play. I thought he played very well last week. I thought he earned the quarterback 2 role to get him some more meaningful reps. I just want to see that steady, gradual improvement that we've been seeing. Looked good in the New York Giants game, looked really good against the Chiefs, but in practice, he's a little inconsistent. But I guess I feel like if your game days are better than your practices. Sometimes the players are just like that. Sometimes you just perform better when it's a meaningful game. I get it. I can definitely understand that aspect. Games are more meaningful, regardless of if it's a preseason or a regular season game. I would rather see you performing better in a game. So maybe Hendon Hooker's he's just a gamer, I guess. So I'm excited to see him. I think everyone can agree. I think he's probably the most intriguing player that most fans are looking forward to see. And I understand that completely, man. This is a guy who potentially, we'll cross that bridge a couple years from now, and we'll see what Hendon Hooker's future is going to be with the Detroit Lions. If it's a starter, I don't know. We'll worry about that in about 3 or 4 years. But right now, Jared Goff's our guy. But I am excited to see Hendon Hooker play some football this weekend. Wide receiver wise, got to see Isaiah Williams, man. There's some people who are still unsure if Isaiah Williams is going to make the team, and I think that is absolutely crazy talk. I'm not going to talk about who he's going to replace or whose job he's taking. I try not to, like I said the other day, I don't want to go down that road. I don't do cut projections. These are NFL players. I'm a guy sitting in an office. I'm in no position to say who should be making the team, who shouldn't. Once the final roster comes out, we'll talk about some things that have happened. But Isaiah Williams, I think he's personally a lock to make the team. I'm not going to talk about whose job he's taking or who's getting cut. But if I just watch the film, I'll watch how Isaiah Williams is used. He's getting reps on special teams. He's getting reps on punt return, kick return, plenty of work on the offense as a wide receiver. They're not going to just audition him to go get a job somewhere else. All right. I think they're really trying to find a role for him on this team. They're trying to see what he can do for the Detroit Lions. If that's kick return, punt return, and we give Khalif Raymond a little break and Khalif Raymond can focus more on wide receiver stuff, or vice versa. I don't know, but I don't think Isaiah Williams is just being shown out there to put tape out there for another team to sign him, because what happens next Tuesday is cut day. When a player gets cut, a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm just using them for an example, can call up Isaiah Williams if he gets cut and say, hey, man, we're going to put you on our 53-man roster. He's going to take that deal. He's going to say, I'll go play on Philadelphia's 53-man roster, be in pads on Sundays, instead of playing for the Detroit Lions practice squad. As a young kid trying to get into the league, that is just the smartest thing to do. At least putting on an NFL jersey on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whatever night you're playing. So when people say, oh, I expect Isaiah Williams to make the practice squad, I don't think he's making the practice squad, because he's played that damn good this offseason that another team is going to notice. They have other teams watching the Detroit Lions. They're going to say, hey, man, if the Detroit Lions cut this Isaiah Williams kid, we need to swoop in there and get him on our 53-man roster. A team who's really weak at a wide receiver position. It might not be the Eagles. It could be the Cardinals. It could be anyone. I'm just saying, when we say the term, oh, I think Isaiah Williams makes the practice team, I don't. I think another team is going to come in here and swoop him up if we cut him. But I'm more concerned that he's going to make this team, so I'm not even going to worry about that. I think he's a lock. He has a very versatile skill set, kick return, punt return, offense. He could do a lot of different things. Former quarterback as well when he played at Illinois. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that Isaiah Williams was a transfer, an Illinois quarterback, and transformed into a wide receiver. Think about Ben Johnson, some gadget plays, maybe a little Philly special, maybe some backwards passes and crazy stuff. Ben Johnson's got the capabilities. He's got the mindset, man. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on a trick play. So Isaiah Williams could be a nice little gadget piece too. Just keep that in mind, guys. Isaiah Williams is a weapon. There's no way he's leaving Detroit, in my opinion. He's not going to another team. Just the facts. We got to face it. Running back wise, good battle. This is probably one of the best offensive battles we have between Craig Reynolds, Sione Vaki, and this is just depth positions. It doesn't mean much to me. I think both guys could make this team, honestly. Sione Vaki, people don't understand when I say that I think he's going to be, as a rookie with a loaded offense. When you look at our starting offense, guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Laporta, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, as a rookie, it's going to be hard for Sione Vaki to get meaningful reps. But what he can do is be primarily a special teamer and have a few plays for him in each game, like 2, 3, 4, maybe up to 5 plays where he gets the ball. Nothing crazy. Craig Reynolds, same thing, man. Craig Reynolds is very underrated, and I think we kind of get lost in and I say this all the time, we kind of get lost in like the fantasy football world where people look at and see running backs and say, oh, if he's not getting rushing yards or rushing touchdowns, he doesn't have as much value as another guy. What Craig Reynolds brings to this team from a mental standpoint and blocking is absolutely crucial. Let me just remind you of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, the first game last season where we went to Tampa Bay. Craig Reynolds had the block of the season. So that's what he brings to the team. Those little intangibles that don't always get noticed. But I love Craig Reynolds' game. I love Sione Vaki's game. I think they both end up making the team. And it'll just kind of be curious to see what the split is in production wise, whether Sione Vaki's special teams and Craig Reynolds is more of that third string running back. I don't know, but that's a good little battle that I'm enjoying watching, and it's going to be exciting to see for the rest of the season, hopefully. Moving on, I think the offensive line played really good last week, the second and third string teams. I thought both units gave Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld plenty of time in the pocket, not a lot of pressures, really opened up some holes in the running game. I'm keeping an eye on Giovanni Manu. I'm talking again about Dan Campbell, just kind of mentioning him in his press conference this week too, when he was specifically asked about Giovanni Manu, and kind of said the same thing. Gradual increase in just getting better, just slowly taking those steps. And that's what he is. He's going to be a project player similar to Broderick Martin, not a guy I want to see this year. We'll look forward to seeing Giovanni Manu maybe in a more important role in 2025, but I just want to see him kind of grow. This is an opportunity. We probably won't get eyes on him again other than practice. We probably will not see Giovanni Manu again until next season. So this is kind of like our final look at him for the year, I feel like, unless you're really, really paying attention to practices, which I will be doing. You know, that's my job. If I'm putting out quality Detroit Lions content, I need to be up to date. So I'll be taking notes on Giovanni Manu when I see some stuff, hear some stuff from practices. But from a game standpoint and a mostly talking point, probably be one of the last times we have to mention Giovanni Manu until 2025. And that's a good thing. I hope he gets all the work he needs all season, and we'll see you next year. Hopefully he comes back, and we'll see how our team's looking. So I'm not really going to go too much more into depth on that. Defensive line, three big hogs: Broderick Martin, Matthew Betts, Josh Paschal. That's a nice little battle there along the defensive line. Matthew Betts, I thought, let me just set the table real quick with Matthew Betts. I'll try to be as professional as I can. I wasn't as excited as some other content creators when we signed Matthew Betts. I had more questions than answers, but last week he looked good. I give credit where credit's due. He's shown up in games and produced. He was easily the most disruptive player on the football field for the Detroit Lions last week against the Chiefs. When we signed Matthew Betts, again, I didn't even do an episode on it because I said long shot. Okay, I'll just keep it plain and simple and as respectful as I can. My mindset was Matthew Betts, long shot. Last week, now I think we're talking, is he making the team? What will his role be? What type of production will we see out of him? Easily last week, I said in our post-game show, I was focusing mostly on the secondary and watching some stuff, but I did notice Matthew Betts actually being a game record. Pressures, sacks, eating Carson Wentz's lunch. Once I went back and watched the game the second time, focusing more on that defensive line, I saw just how disruptive he was. He's a true pass rusher. That's kind of what we need in certain situations. You're talking about third and 12, and we got Aiden Hutchinson, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, maybe James Houston, maybe Matthew Betts, Marcus Davenport, whatever we can shift around, make some stuff happen. We got some guys who can get after the quarterback on 3rd and 12, and it's going to be a nightmare for an opposing team to get any type of production on offense. Broderick Martin looked good at times, pushing that pocket back. Interior pass rush is huge. It's something if we get an interior pass rush with 3 or 4 guys, DJ Reader, Levi Onwuzurike, Broderick Martin, Ali McNeil, if those 4 guys are getting pressures up the middle and we got Aiden Hutchinson on the outside, hopefully James Houston on the opposite side, it's going to be a problem. And they call James Houston the problem. I'm excited to see this defense. I thought those 3 guys, Paschal with a huge strip sack last week to kind of give the Lions a fantastic opportunity to go out and win the game, in which they did. So I'm excited, man. Those are the 3 guys I'm probably going to be keeping an eye on again this week. Mainly Matthew Betts. I think this is a make or break game for him. if he has another game like he did last week against KC, it's going to be a very hard discussion to keep him off of this roster. So Matthew Betts, go out, prove me wrong. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see you on this team. If you're producing like you were last week, we're going to be a nightmare defensively. Don't even get me started on our secondary that I'm going to talk about. I haven't seen anything definitive about Ennis Rakestraw. I don't think Terrion Arnold's going to play. So I'm just going to operate under the assumption that we'll just see them on September 8th against the Rams. So with that being said, I'm looking at more guys. Vildor, Dorsey, Brandon Joseph, all again last week. All these guys played really well. I was keeping my eyes on them. They had my undivided attention last week on defense. They all looked really good in coverage, whether it was zone, whether it was man. Actually, our zone was a little issue. This team is built to play man-on-man defense, and that's hard to do. You got to switch it up. You can't just play 100% man coverage every single snap, every single down. But our zone defense at times, we have some big holes that get discovered by an opposing team. I'd like to see that get cleaned up. I think that's more of a schematic thing, not a personnel thing, because I've noticed it with the starters last year. It got better toward the end of the season, but it's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But Khalil Dorsey, Brandon Joseph, Kendall Vildor, I thought all played really well last week. Even Kendall Vildor, I know he caught a lot of flack for that NFC Championship game last week. Go back, watch the tape. He looked pretty good against Kansas City. He looked good. So Kendall Vildor played very well last week. Guys, this is usually the segment of the show where I kind of do like a prediction or a score prediction, or maybe I throw in like a little prop bet that I find on FanDuel. If you're a gambler, you can start following me for that kind of stuff. I don't always hit. I don't want to be responsible for any losses, but I'm not going to do that. This is a meaningless preseason game on the score wise. And this is really just an opportunity to get a final look at some guys. We really know who our roster is going to be. We know who our starters are going to be. We know what the role players are going to be. This is just kind of fine tuning the machine and getting ready for the NFL season, guys. So I'm excited. My final preseason show, guys. Again, please hit that subscribe button, stick around, leave some comments, hit that like button. I will be back hopefully later tonight or hopefully Saturday night talking a Detroit Lions victory, guys. I can't wait. Stick around. Enjoy the show.